You can eat out at pretty much any restaurant and still eat healthy, but you will face a few obstacles. I'll start with fast food. You can't you can't really eat healthy at fast food. Really, I just avoid it. In the 6 days a week that you're trying to be healthy, I just avoid it. Um, Unless you went there, like I'm talking about KFC and McDonald's in particular here, you could go there and just probably have some popcorn chicken or some chicken nuggets, and that'd be okay. But you know, who's going to go to McDonald's and just have that? Um, and even then, it's not that great for you. But I suppose it's the healthiest thing that they can do because it's got some protein in. But you know, the burgers and the chips and even the salads, they're not great. My biggest advice with fast food is just try and avoid them and save it for the binge days. Eating out of restaurants, it's a tough thing, and not just because of the food, but because maybe of the social situation that you'll be in. You know, if you're with friends and whatever, and you're trying to have a nice meal, you don't want to come across as being awkward and being a bit picky, but sometimes you might have to. You know, if they say, "Oh, shall we share a few dishes, or shall we share a pizza or whatever?" You're gonna have to say, "Oh, no, actually, that's not okay." Um, I'd say that the hardest thing about eating at a restaurant is definitely the menu. You know, there are always healthy choices, but there's more than likely far more unhealthy choices, and that's where your willpower has to come in. You know, you've got to put your foot down and say, right, I've got to have that. You know, you'll read something, you'll be reading through the menu and go, oh, that would be nice, but actually, you know what, you've got to say no. And another obstacle that you'll come across in a restaurant is you know, wholemeal stuff like that. You know, if there's a pasta dish and you think, oh, that looks quite healthy, but you got to ask if it's with white pasta or with wholemeal. And what you should do is have a backup. So if the waiter says, oh no, sorry, we don't do wholemeal, you can say, okay, well, I've got something else I can choose. And then you just say that instead. So have a backup. Choose two things on the menu. So if they don't have the first one, you just have the second one. Do you know what I mean? So just be prepared and sort of give yourself the best chance. Yeah, and the side sauces. You know, the waiter will bring over a side sauce or a salad dressing or whatever, and they're not great for you at all. They're really sugary, and it might seem a bit picky, and you might feel a bit silly doing it, but you just don't be scared to say sorry. Can you take that back? I just want it out of my sight, out of sight, out of mind. I think it's the best thing to do, or you know, even give it to someone who's not on a diet. You know, just say, oh, do you want that? But just get it off your plate, because it's far easy to say, oh, it doesn't matter. I'll just have that. It's fine. But you know that those little things really do matter. So it's far easier to just say, oh yeah, I'll have it. But it's far better for you if you don't. Just get it off your plate, get it out of sight, and get it out of mind. The best example I can give is TGI Fridays. Oh God, I love TGI Fridays. It's probably my favourite place to eat. If you haven't heard of TGI Fridays, if you don't have it in your country, just Google it. But you can eat really healthy at TGI Fridays. You know, you can get a great big steak, and I've been there quite a lot of times. I said, oh, instead of chips, can I have mashed potato and veg instead? And you know, they're like, yeah, sure. But it'll come over with a really sugary Jack Daniel's sauce, and you just have to say, does anyone else want this? Or just ask the waiter to take it back. But the menu at TGI Fridays is an absolute marathon, and God, they have some gorgeous food on there. So that's what's hard, the temptation of the other items on the menu. You just have to say, right, I won't have that. I'll have this instead, and you just need to be firm with yourself. And that's the hardest thing. If you can get over that, then you've sort of cracked it. And again, when the dessert menu comes over, you just need to say, no, forget that. You know, I'll wait till binge day. But yeah, TGI Fridays, you know, that's the best example. You can eat really really healthy there. So you know, don't be caught out, and don't be scared to ask the waiter. You know, don't be afraid, because at the end of the day, if you want a good body, those are the kind of things that you've got to do. Pizza, try and avoid pizza, because it's just a big white carb. You know, I don't know of a wholemeal pizza. There might be one out there, but I've never seen one. So try and avoid pizza. It's the base of the pizza that's not very good for you. It's a big white carb, and you've got to try and avoid white carbs. If you're gonna drink alcohol, if you do have a special occasion, but you still want to be good, the best drink you could possibly have is gin and tonic. But yeah, obviously try and avoid alcohol during the 6 days of the week that you're trying to be healthy, and save it for your binge day. You could probably get away once a week with, going to the supermarket and buying a jar of sort of some Indian sauce and some wholemeal rice. Just about, but what the problem is the sugar in the sauces. They're really sugary, especially these kormas and things like that. So just have a look on the back of the label and see which has the lowest sugar content, and be careful, because obviously that's the worst thing for trying to get a six pack if you're having lots and lots of sugar. Indian restaurants, I mean, it's pretty much impossible to eat healthy at an Indian restaurant, and it's because it's the way they cook everything. It's delicious. I absolutely love going to an Indian restaurant, but I save it for a binge day. The poppadoms, the naan breads, all the sauces. Just the way it's cooked, it's deep fat fried, and the sauces are so sugary. It's loads and loads of saturated fat. So it's really rich, and it's not good for you. So stay away in the 6 days a week you're trying to be healthy. Stay away from an Indian restaurant. It's sort of the same with a Chinese restaurant, but you can have a stir fry or something like that. But again, it's these sugary sauces, like the hoisin, the sweet and sour. The sweet and sour sauce is probably my worst nightmare, and it's the worst thing you can consume when trying to get a six pack. It's so sugary. Like 100-gram jar of sweet and sour sauce. You could probably have the equivalent to about 5 or 6 chocolate bars for the amount of sugar that's in that jar. It's crazy how much sugar is in there. So yeah, if you're gonna go to a Chinese restaurant, try and have a stir fry. So yeah, that's eating out. So just be careful, and don't be scared to ask the waiter. If you can, if they've got certain things. Just don't be scared to be picky. Yeah, and just be careful, and don't be caught out.